Hello, my name is Jonathan Palmer. I'm a game design major at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology. I'll be graduating soon, and this is my demo of Peripheral Void. Peripheral Void is a relatively simple puzzle game that uses some psychological concepts. The main psychological concept is known as Object Permanence, but I'll get into that in a minute. We see ourselves in a 3D world. You can move around using the arrow keys, and you can move around using W, A, S, and D, and you can use the arrow keys to change where you're looking. So I'm just going to look and explore my environment. We see some just bland textured walls that sort of just raise up in the air. You also can use spacebar to jump. So like I see this obstacle before me, I can't get by it, so I'm going to have to jump over it. So I jump up and over the obstacle. And we come to this. Now see, this is a much taller obstacle. When I try to jump, I can't quite get over it. However, we see this strange red glowing cube right here. So, you know what, let's just try and jump over this obstacle. And we jump much higher this time. But we'll figure out exactly why seeing that red, or why that red cube, why it mattered, and why we jumped higher. The cube itself turns on and off a light. So I'm in this new area, and I see these new cubes that have like this gold glow to them. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but they make a beeping noise when they come into my vision. So if I just walk over here, and then I turn around and I see them, oh hey, that cube moved. It moved again. So I can do something such as jump on this cube, and then look at the other cube, and we'll notice a result. This is a basis for an elevator technology, where I can change the scale of this cube right here, making it much larger and wider, while going up between larger areas. This right here is the example for, like, say, a door. These are the unlock crests. Okay, so let's keep exploring. What's that over there? The blue one. Haven't seen that one yet. I'm not sure what it does. Well, if you've noticed it by now, it's not the most apparent. We're going to add a visual effect to make the mechanic more conveying, but it actually increases the speed at which you move. So like when I look at it, I'm much more capable of moving around quickly. This could be used for something such as bounding over a great pit. So like as I move forward, I could jump over quite a large pit with that crest active. So that's what the blue crest does. The first crest we came across was the red crest. That greatly increased the height I could jump. So just exploring down a bit more. We have these large, tall walls to just sort of emulate a basic puzzle environment. See the jump crest? And this gives an example of how high we can jump. We can look over this entire area. This is all the rooms that are loaded. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. So just continuing to move on. I have this nice little blue crest right here, which makes it move much quicker, but I don't need that right now. Oh goodness, what is that? So, you see a couple things going on immediately. First off, when I lay eyes on the green crest, it tunnel visions my center, it blurs most of my vision except for the center. We have a sound constantly playing, just a simple little pan flute tune going on right now, which uses 3D audio also, which I'll come back to. And then the character is slowed down greatly. Like the rate at which I move is very, very slow. Another thing which isn't immediately apparent, I can't jump. I'm currently tapping the jump key, but nothing's happening. So this is the green crest, and it is called the Medusa crest, because it pretty much turns you to stone. You can still move around because like it's not a you see it and you lose, but you see it and it's a major obstacle. Like if I want to go all the way over there, it's going to take me a long time. Or I could just not look at it and just not stare the Gorgon in the eyes. So those are the basic crests that we have implemented so far. I'm now going to talk about some of the other technologies we have in place. Just heading back to this main area. So, we have a great number of cubes over here, and all of these cubes currently use hardware instancing, which we have our graphics card rendering each individual cube in a similar way so that we can reduce the performance burden of our game. We don't plan on having that many cubes, but hardware instancing is very useful for, say, like the walls or the floors and stuff, other things like that. Let's go into shaders next. So I'm going to press the R button on my keyboard, which is going to enable wireframe mode. So it's not immediately apparent what's going on, but like if I move into this room over here, we see this wall right here, and then we see some triangles. We can see it extends into the floorway. This is what happens when we look at only the lines from our indices to another. This just shows us generally as a debug tool what's going on. Our wireframe mode is an example of sort of the benefits, and it gives us a lot of debug technique, or it shows us the benefits for various debugging reasons. And it's also kind of just cool. It also shows lighting on the vertexes. So if I turn on wireframe mode, you can see at the base of this cube, it's lit the ground a little bit. So that's wireframe. We have blur, which you saw with the Medusa crest. If I quickly place another one in this room over here. The outside of the screen is slightly blurred, and we're going to change this so it centers on the cube. We're currently at a max light limit, so this cube isn't lighting up, but it's still giving the same effect with the 3D audio music. Let's continue on. We're currently using Bullet Physics Engine. We felt it would take a lot of time to build our own 3D physics engine, so we're using an existing physics engine that's quite popular in a lot of AAA and final production games. So like they give pretty robust collisions for, like, I just quickly made two spheres and we can just watch them bounce into things, and like that's pretty solid, and like they behave pretty effectively. It's very nice for managing like a lot of objects, even though we don't foresee having that many. So if I hop back up on the walls, I can get to the concept of room architecture. Oops, I didn't quite make it. So if we look over this area, we see a number of different rooms over there. Each of these rooms is created with our external level editor, and we can create and load different rooms connected to other rooms. We aim to have dynamic loading, so during runtime it's going to load and unload rooms as you move around the levels, but for right now it just loads everything on the initial startup, and it's actually pretty lightweight. We use a recursive setup, so that way it just loads all the neighbors of the rooms to a certain degree, so much so that if there was, like, say, a billion rooms in a row, it would stop loading after a point. So that's the room loading. Or that's the basics of the room loading. Several of the rooms have checkpoints in them, which you can't quite see, which if I were to say jump off the world right here, it will take me back right inside. And so the checkpoints are just going to be useful for certain mechanics later. Next up, I suppose I should talk about the general aimed theme right now. Right now, you just see a lot of like bland walls and simple textures. Well, this is what we're basically gray box prototyping it, because we don't want to develop advanced assets until we're closer to the end. We're going to go with a Greek theme most likely. So the slow crest that we saw way down this hallway, the one that makes you slow, that's going to be the Medusa crest. It's going to have a picture of a woman with snakes for hair, because it's a very readily conveyed concept. It's very familiar with people. The red crest that makes people jump higher, that's going to get a pair of Icarus wings. Icarus being the young craft child who flew up and burned his wings off in the sun. Sort of to give you the idea of you can reach great new heights. The blue crest, the one that greatly increases your movement speed, the mobility crest, this is probably going to have a pair of winged sandals, or a pair of sandals to sort of represent Hermes, the god of travel and messaging. delivering messages. Back in the main chamber, these gold ones are going to have a picture of a man holding a large rock or planet on his shoulders to be Atlas, to show that they're the key to everything, to show that they're important for you to travel forward. We also have a couple more mechanics planned, one of which is a turret, which will fire projectiles, which will send you back to your most recent checkpoint, which I mentioned earlier. And those are going to be represented by a man pushing a boulder up a hill, referring to the Greek myth of Sisyphus, the man who eternally had to push a boulder up a hill, and when he started to get to the end, it would roll back down and he must restart. And then the final one, or the final main mechanic we have planned, are bridges or walls that will disappear if you aren't looking at them. So like there could be a wall obstructing this pathway, but by not looking at it, the wall doesn't exist, and I can back my way through the wall, or if it's like a bridge, as long as I don't look at it, it will be there. We're going to represent that with Hades, sort of like the underworld, sort of the world that you don't see that's going on. So that's the general mechanics that we have going on. This is the general world. We've created a lot so far. We're looking to continue development. We're pretty proud of what we have. We're constantly like profiling our code, trying to speed up the things that we have that are causing problems and frame rate issues. For instance, so we use a map. We use map lookups, and the C++ map lookups are pretty quick, but if you have to do it 100 times to store all your meshes and textures, then it pretty much slows down. So we do a one-time sort algorithm so that we can limit the map lookups if we have the keys for specific objects. But that's like some of the general basics of what we have going on for Peripheral Void. We're looking to finish the game, the goals of our project, and just have like a couple levels where like you complete puzzles using these various mechanics that I've demonstrated. And we're looking to have that done probably before summer. And we're aiming to have it be a showcase product, and we're going to include a couple videos just showing off the things that we did. This is mostly a portfolio piece, but thank you for watching. This has been Jonathan Palmer, signing off. If you're interested and you somehow came upon this link another way, check out my website at jonathanpalmer.com.